Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Farm Sim 25, and welcome to our Sharon Center, Ohio root crop start from scratch. My name is Spartan Elite 43, and tonight we finished our harvest in the last episode, or in the first episode, and we have a decision to make. Our first major decision of our playthrough. Um, we have what almost 45,000 liters of canola in here, which we will sell off in a couple of months. But the biggest problem that we have is what we're going to do with our field. Now, if we look at the map, potatoes can go in March, which is great. But the problem is we don't have any of the equipment to harvest the potatoes. We can buy a planter, but we don't have the ability to end up getting the potatoes out of the ground. So we've got to figure out what we're going to do. Our tractor also is going to be struggling. But first things first, we need to get the field ready for the next planting of whatever we do. So yeah. Regardless, we're not going to be putting canola back on that field. I think we're actually going to be using soybeans or something along those lines on that field. But let's jump in the old tractor. Let's go ahead, park the trailer. We'll park the trailer next to the building. And then we are going to spread some lime and fertilizer on the field, because I don't have any other way to do it for the time being. And we will prepare the field for the next sowing, so that when the time comes, we'll be golden. But having a 3-meter wide disc is going to be rough. But we really don't have much of a choice, because this old tractor can only do so much. I want to say it's 140 horsepower. So yeah, we're kind of limited in what we're able to do, the equipment that we can use. But we will do everything we can to make everything work. Actually, before we disc it, we should probably, let's drop that real quick. Probably spread the lime first. So let's try to do that. This old lime wagon looks massive on this little tractor. It's alright though, we'll get there. It all takes time. We've been here before. We've all started from scratch before. Or if you've been watching my channel, you've started from scratch with me. But yeah, I like this map so far. I know a lot of people are itching to see like more of the map. We only showed you basically the top half of the map. So I'll see what I can do about that. But we're going to go down here to the head of the field, and we'll try to do our liming. Hopefully it doesn't take too much lime, but it almost certainly will. I could have swore this thing had like a bigger spread. Am I crazy? Be under yield improvements. Yeah, up to a 20 or up to a 30-meter spread, which is what we're using. So we gotta, it didn't automatically go to a 30 meters, so we gotta set up a 30 meters. We'll go with like a 29.5. How about that? That sounds good. Alright, make it happen. That ain't working at all. Hold the phone. We'll figure it out. It's showing that it's an 18-meter wide working width. I guess we'll go with that. It should be bigger than that. We got the wider spread, so it should have the maximum spread. But that explains why it was showing us 18 meters. Weird. Alright, let's get this party started. I mean, that's clearly right. I guess I should have listened to it the first time. But I intend to just do down and backs. Like, I don't think we need to do the headlands at all. So we're just going to do a straight down, turn around, straight back. This old tractor is going to be struggling. We've had this issue with this tractor in the past where it struggles. Like, it does. It's an old tractor. It gets the job done, but it definitely struggles. So we might need to upgrade this tractor sooner than we thought. Now, I thought being relatively flat land, we'd be okay. But as you can see, when we go uphill, this thing does struggle to go uphill. We go from 11 miles an hour to... so far, still 11. This isn't as big of a hill, apparently. But we are going to have to fill this thing up a couple of times, probably. But I do want to make sure that we keep the ground as good as possible, because we have to. We're only going to make so much money off this field. We got to maximize it until we can start to expand. So we got to make every acre count. So out of this property, I think we said we had about 15.5 acres that is field on this particular lot that we own. So that is not a lot of land, but it's not terrible. It's a nice sized field to start with. And I think if we were able to get potatoes on this, I think we would make a killing real fast. Because if I know anything about farm sim, I've heard that root crops, as tedious as they are, the yield that you get off of root crops is absurd. Which would make our ability to expand much quicker. Because you may not get paid a lot for them, but you make a lot of them. And that can go a long ways. So, we'll see. Only time will tell. Also, I have no idea if that silo can hold potatoes or not. We'll find out. Now, normally I don't think you would put potatoes in a silo. I think you'd put them in some sort of cold storage bunker or something like that. But yeah, we don't have that. So hopefully that mod will allow us to put the potatoes in the silo. But we are 2 passes in, and we have used about 50%, so that's perfect. Looks like we're going to get about 4 passes per tank, which is great because that's about half the field. And then we only have to lime every so often, so this isn't going to be a big deal. I think this is perfectly fine. This tractor does struggle a little bit going up the hills, but overall it's doing a pretty good job. As it loses weight out of the tank, it's doing better at keeping up going over the hills. So honestly, I don't think it'll be too bad. We don't have to worry about upgrading just yet. But yeah, I got to look into equipment for potatoes real soon. But if we throw this down, and then we use our cultivator to go over top of it, I should mix the lime in pretty decently. And we won't have to worry about that for at least a little while anyway. Then we got to figure out how we're going to do potatoes. Because I do want to get into potatoes as soon as possible. Because I've never done them. And I know it's going to cost a lot of money to do so. Because I think the chopper that you have to cut the foliage off the top of the potato, because the potato plant has like leaves and stuff and a stem. And what you're after with the potato is the root, obviously. It's the root crop. God dang trees, man. Can't see nothing. Whoever planted those trees, shame on you. But anyway, the chopper that chops the top of the potato plant off, I think is not going to be a problem. But the potato picker itself is going to be the problem. And I'm pretty sure that it's a high horsepower requirement because it's digging into the ground to grab the potatoes. So yeah, I have no idea what we're going to have to do, but we'll see. Plus, on top of all this, we still have a $500,000 loan that's going to be charging us a lot of money per month in interest until we get it paid off. So yeah, not ideal. But overall, I'm excited for this series, and I hope you guys are too. It seems like you guys are. I got a lot of good comments on the last video talking about you guys are excited to see how this series develops. If you guys know me, you guys know that I plow through, man. We no matter what our goal is, we will get there. Whether it's cutting our way through the forest and the new frontier, or if we're in the calm lands taking over the entire county. We are out here just making it happen. And now we're in Ohio, my homeland. Of course, I'm from down south, but still. Probably ought to go fill up. We only got 10% left. But that's pretty good. We got about half the field done with the first tank. We'll go fill up with some more lime. I kind of like the way our yard is laid out here too. We may make some changes over time, but I like it so far. Go ahead and fill her up the rest of the way with lime. Alright. But yeah, I kind of want to keep the series, at least early on, semi-realistic. We talked about this in the last episode, or in the first episode as well. I kind of want to keep the series at least semi-realistic at the beginning. And then as we progress, we can get into some more unrealistic stuff as we start to work a lot more ground. But I like a slow burn early start, where you start with small stuff and you slowly build up and work your way up to eventually snowballing into a massive corporate farm. But yeah, we're gonna be a little while, and I hope that you guys are gonna enjoy the entire series with me. We'll be farming taters in no time. Now that we're heavy, it's going to struggle to go up this hill a little bit. It really doesn't slow down all that much. It goes from 11 down to, what, 8? So it's not too bad. But yeah, one of the downsides of our first harvest was the land wasn't well taken care of. There was no fertilizer used on that field at all, so we had a terrible yield on our canola field to start out with. But again, I mean, what are you gonna do? The original farmer that owned the area, like I said, he did own the big field over there too, but unfortunately, we didn't have the money to buy that just yet, so it's still up for sale. But yeah, we ended up being able to buy this section of land and the original farmyard over there. And apparently that farmer passed away, so we had the ability to pick it up at a relatively decent price. Like I said, the big field is the one field we just weren't able to buy. I just didn't have enough capital to make it happen. The banks would not give me the loan, as unfortunate as that is. But it's all right. We'll get there eventually. We'll show the banks that not only should they have given us that loan, but they would have gotten paid back a lot sooner had they done it. Now, a cynical man might be thinking that, well, that's the reason they didn't give you the loan, because they know if they give you that land as well, if you buy that land as well, you'll be able to pay back the loan much quicker. They want the loan to drag out, because then they get more in interest. You know, but that's if you're a cynical man. We out here farming positivity. But as you can see, our field type is kind of all over the place. The soil in this area is it fluctuates dramatically from one end of the field to the other. We have several different soil types in this field. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge for us to make sure that we, give our best chance of getting the highest yields off the fields. If it was one soil type or another soil type, it'd be different. But because it changes so much during the width of the field, or the length of the field, it's going to be hard for us to maximize yield on the entire field, especially early on. But like I said, once we get into potatoes, I don't think maximizing yield is going to be all that big of a deal, because we're going to be able to make a boatload of potatoes on this field. And that's why I want to get into potatoes as soon as possible, is because we've never done root crop, never done potatoes before, but I know that they supposedly yield like mountains of potatoes off relatively small ground. So the sooner we get into that, the better. But yeah, we should have no trouble here. We'll get through and finish the last two passes. And this is what I say I like about this field too, is we don't necessarily need to do a headlands pass on this field. We can just go through and go in straight lines down and back and knock out the whole field that way. Just because there's enough room to turn around on either end of the field, and we don't really need to go full headlands or anything like that. But I can't wait to see what it's like to do the potatoes. I know there's some funky equipment involved, and I'm up for it. But that being said, we may end up needing a second tractor to help us in our quest for the taters. But again, I don't know if we can even I don't know if we can take out another loan yet. We maxed out the loan to start with, and I don't know if we're going to be able to take out a loan to be able to afford the potato harvester, the digger. And there really aren't a lot of mods to help us with the potatoes until you get into the unrealistic stuff. Like I said, the Lizard Colossus mod obviously allows us to do potatoes that way, but we're trying to avoid that for the time being. I want to do everything legit first. A lot of people see the way that I play late game and they'll be like, "Oh man, he just does unrealistic farming," and it's like, yeah, technically yes, but I also do that once we've already done the slow stuff. You know what I mean? I don't like to just jump straight in and do the worst. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to do another pass just to hit that edge of that field. As you can see on the map, it's really not that big a deal. we're going to cover the majority of it anyway. So that little section of field, I'm not going to waste a whole bunch of lime to try to fill that. But yeah, we are definitely going to have to figure out what we're going to do for the potatoes, though. Like I said, the planter, I think we can get relatively cheap. And I say relatively cheap, I mean, we could probably afford to plant the potatoes. It's only going to plant like 3 meters at a time, which is fine. But yeah, that's going to be a thing. And then, of course, we need the chopper, which cuts the foliage off the top of the plant. And then we'll need the digger. And I think the digger is going to be the problem, because I'm pretty sure they're expensive. As in, more expensive than we can afford. So we may have to leverage some equipment in order to afford that. But if we're getting into potatoes, like we could potentially sell off our grain harvester for the time being. But there we have it, folks. It is done. Sorry, buddy. Appreciate your patience. But we'll get this thing down the road. I don't know why I'm trying to cut across. It's literally right up here. And stop. Make sure we check both ways. I've gotten into a little bit of trouble already for failing to check both directions. We'll get this thing back home in no time flat. So that was relatively painless, as we'd expect. Didn't take too long for us to do. Go ahead and put up our equipment, and then we'll grab the disc and try to disc that under. I probably should let the lime sink in a little bit before disking, but that should be fine. Normally you'd want to disc before planting. We're going to kind of disc before winter. Plenty of room in this old building. Alright, let's go hook up to the disc. Oh, crashed into it. Now they'll never take it back. Now the good news is this thing should be able to pull this at full speed, which I think is 11 miles an hour, so we should be good. Shouldn't take too long, even though it's only 3 meter working width. Keep saying no field detected. Better detect it real quick. Gonna be a lot of down and backs. Thankfully, we do have auto steer in this old tractor. Makes this a little bit easier. And like I said, even though it's only 3 meters, it does at least move at 11 miles an hour, so it shouldn't be too bad. We'll disc all this stuff under. That'll help it break down a little bit quicker, so that when it comes time for planting, we shouldn't have as much trouble. Wonder if farmers disc twice. Like, do you think they disc after a harvest and then disc in the springtime before they plant. I bet it depends on what was on the field. But either way you shake it, it's going to take a minute to do this field with such a small working width. Might be one of those times where skipping rows might actually be beneficial, because our working width is so small that turning around in such a tight area is going to take longer. If we got to do a 3-point turn at every end of the field, we're going to be a minute. But as you can see, she's cutting through nicely. Even though it's a small disc, it's doing its job. Knocking down those stems and the weeds and laying them all flat on the ground, loosening the soil a little bit. Mixing it all together. There's something so nice about just using small equipment, you know what I mean? Just, it hits different. Give me about an hour of sitting here going back and forth, and I'll be like, man, I wish I had a bigger piece of equipment. I don't know how long it'll take, but I ain't going to bore you guys with sitting here watching me go back and forth the entire time. We'll hit a time lapse for you guys, or a jump cut.
Waiting, dirt under the sun, Volvo pulling steady, but the work's never done. 3 meters wide, an hour turns to years, loan on my shoulders, grinding through the fields. Disc cut shallow, sweat runs deep. Dreams don't come easy, but the land won't sleep. 500,000, bank owns my name. Cultivating hope in a farmer's game. Slow wheels turning, fate's hanging true. Potato gamble waiting, nothing else to do. Selling down my soul just to stake this hand, praying that the harvest saves this land. combine's fading, Volvo might go, even my pickup, Lord, I'll let it show. Trading iron for promise, green rose to sow. It's a gamble I'm taking with nowhere to go. Slow wheels turning, fate's hanging true. Potato gamble waiting, nothing else to do. Selling down my soul just to stake this hand, praying that the harvest saves this land. Dutch tractor calling, strong enough to fight. Pull that planter forward, chase the morning light, risking it all for a golden return. Sometimes you've got to lose to learn. Potatoes, hoping luck will last. Dead on my shoulders, future in my hands. Cultivating hope on Sharon Center land.
Alrighty, holy moly, that took a while. I don't know exactly how long it took, but it was definitely over an hour. I want to say it's close to an hour and a half. Maybe an hour, 15 minutes, something like that. But yeah, we're done. It's officially ready to be planted. But we won't be planting that until probably March or April, depending on what we decide to do. Like I said, the goal for this series is root crops specifically geared towards potatoes, but we might get into some other vegetables and root crops as well. Is basically I want to try all the stuff that we don't normally get to do. But yeah, this, I ain't gonna lie, this disc got to go. Lord have mercy. And I know the worst part is like all of the implements and stuff are relatively small working with for potatoes and all that stuff, so we are going to have our work cut out for us. It's going to be a lot of small movements Each harvest is going to take over an hour. It's gonna be rough. But we got her done, and that's the main thing. So we can go ahead and shut her down. Use 3/4 of a tank of fuel on our Volvo. Look at our Volvo. It's a mess. It's a mess, y'all. But we got her done at the end of the day. Now, the one thing I didn't look at this entire time, let's go ahead and save real quick. Because I'd hate to lose all that progress. Lord have mercy. I'd lose it. I'd lose it. But, yeah, so the one thing I didn't do is look at the freaking market here. We do actually have a 7.5 meter header. That's slightly bigger than the header that we currently have. But again, we want to get into doing potatoes, so none of this is actually going to help us with that, unfortunately. So yeah, none of this does anything for us. So what I want to do next is look into how much it's going to cost us to do our potatoes and what we're going to need to do so. So again, planting season for potatoes begins in March. So we've got until March to make enough money to be able to afford the stuff that we're about to see. So we need a planter, a potato planter, and then we need a harvester. Okay, so that's the main thing. So if we look through, we should be able to go down to root crops, go to potato planters, and you can see we actually have this potato planter here, 3 meter working with. Again, it's going to be awful, especially considering this only runs at 7 miles an hour, so it's going to take forever to plant that field. But $70,000 to plant the potatoes, that's not that bad. The other option is this one. It's the same working with, requires more horsepower. I don't understand, like, what the difference is between the two. I really don't. But this one is clearly better than this modded version, so I have no idea why this even exists. But this one plants faster, it has the same working width, it's cheaper, and requires less horsepower. So to me, this is just better all around, right? So we're going to probably pick that up right now. Look at this thing. This is going to be our potato planter. So let's go ahead and let's buy that now. That's going to be the majority of our money, leaving us down to $52,000 in the bank. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to need is a way to harvest the potatoes. So if we go over here, you can see there is actually a digger, but it's so expensive, $190,000, and I don't believe that there's a cheap modded version, unfortunately. Yeah. This requires 65 horsepower. And this is to top the crops. So that's good. So we would have to run this and one of these. Conversely, we get the Lizard Harvester or the Colossus Harvester, and we could do this much faster. But yeah, I mean this is where we're at. It's gonna be a whole thing, and this attaches to the Ropa Harvester, I believe. Maybe it doesn't. Oh, it does. Okay. I don't know why the Ropa Harvester is not showing up in this list. But yes, so that attaches to the Ropa Harvester. This can attach a weight, but this should be able to attach to the front of a tractor, or for us, I think it'd be the rear of a tractor, because we don't have a front attacher. And it requires only 65 horsepower. And then, of course, the harvester itself only harvests 1.5 meters at a time. This is going to take so long. Everything about this is going to take forever. And then this requires 200 horsepower. We don't have 200 horsepower. Oh, potatoes are going to be painful. It's going to be so painful. Conversely, I mean, if we look at the actual like harvesters for it, I mean, yeah, they're expensive. Like they're all expensive. There's no yeah, they're expensive. No, they're all ridiculously expensive. They're all ridiculously expensive. But this Ropa mod here is still $569,000. We got our work cut out for us, y'all. I hope the potatoes pay well, because we're about to have some really, really long time lapses. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. But the next thing that we need to look at, what did I just say? We needed, we need to buy this, obviously. That's $10,000. That's not too bad. We can go ahead and get that now. And then the other thing that we're going to need is one of these harvesters. Now, I'm probably going to get the tool height adjuster one. This one can hold more internally, although it's still not going to hold a lot. Holds 12,000 liters inside it, so that's at least good news. $205,000 we've got to come up with. There ain't no way that we can come up with that kind of money in the short term. We can go ahead and we're going to keep our weeder. I mean, this planter can be probably sold off, although it's not going to give us a whole lot of money. If we look at our equipment, we can get an idea of how much money we've got into things. If we sell off our harvester, I mean, we're looking at 108,000 plus 29,000 for the header. So roughly $130,000 there. I know it's going to be a little bit more than that, but that's roughly. Great Plains cedar, we've got another $41,000. So if we sold off this and this and our cedar, that gets us about $170,000. Get rid of our disc. It gives us about $176,000. I mean, I could sell off my truck. I don't think that we can take out another loan currently. Like if I go here, actually I can. How much money can I borrow currently? We are going to need to borrow money. We can't borrow anything. Never mind. So we are maxed out at a $500,000 loan, at least until we start getting further up the road in terms of owning more property and so on and so forth. Yeah, this is gonna be rough. But that being said, if we go ahead and reset the equipment that we're gonna sell, so like the disc, the cedar, my truck, and the combine. All right, and then might as well reset the tractor as well. All right, we're going to take the combine, sell it first because we're done with it. Again, this was all equipment that was on the farm when we purchased it. That's why we spent so much money on the farm. And for our plans, for what we want to do with the farm, this just is not quite what we want. There is a shop here, right? Maybe it's around back. Oh, it's inside. Try to look for any other shops. It's got to be here, though. Let's pull it in. Oh, there's the trigger. I was gonna say, it's got to be here. Alright, let's go ahead and repair, repaint, and sell. Repair, repaint, and sell. Go ahead and grab our cedar. Because ideally we would want to upgrade our tractor to something that can pull the thing as well. So we need at least 200 horse. This little 140 horse Volvo just isn't quite strong enough for the potato digger. But before we sell the tractor, we're going to use it for all this. So repair, repaint, and sell. Alright. Repair, repaint, and sell. That's got us up to 248. I don't want to sell the tractor just yet, because I want to make sure that we have enough money. So, we need the... I don't think it really matters which one of these we go for. The extra storage is minimal. This goes 10.7. If we go up, that adds an extra $10,000. That takes us up to 9.6. No, wait. What is this? RK22L. Not sure what that's all about. So this version holds more. And they're all roughly the same, or they're all the same everywhere else. I don't know what the silver edition. Oh, it just puts some yeah, that's a waste. All right, so if we stick with this version, it's $190,000, and we need 200 horses to drive it. That's a lot. So that's going to leave us $48,000 in the bank, which means we're going to be short. Okay. Well, we're going to have to buy it, so let's go ahead and buy it. And again, I don't want to sell that, but we'll go over here to our truck and see if we can get some money out of this old truck here. As much as I like this truck, I want a potato farm more. So if I have to sell my truck in order to make enough money to have the equipment that I need to keep the farm up and running, that's what I'll do. Just have to drive tractors everywhere. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to repaint it and sell it. It's another $64,000 in the bank. That gives us $122,000 to get a tractor. Now, ideally, I want to get a tractor and keep this one, because I can use this smaller tractor to do a lot of other things. So let's see what we've got in terms of tractors. We're going to need at least 200 horses. So we'll look into the small tractors first and see if there's anything that's got the horsepower required. Now, this Valtra can get up to 201 horsepower. So how much? Okay, we want the 3-point hitch on the front. That's fine. We want the big engine. Okay, that puts us up to 157. So we wouldn't be able to afford the 200 horsepower engine that way. And that's before going into all the fancy stuff up here. So can't do that. Now there is another small tractor, this International here, that can get up to 300 horsepower. But again, it doesn't have a front attacher, unfortunately. We could go for the big engine, but then that adds another $100,000 on top of it. That takes us up to $130,000 if we wanted to do that. But that gets us 300 horsepower. We would need narrow tires. Ideally. Doesn't look like we can get narrow tires. Alright. Well, that's out of the question then. All these other ones aren't quite there. I mean, we can get 200 horsepower out of the Massey Ferguson. Kubota can't quite get there. And I don't think any of the other tractors are anywhere near 200. Not for our price point, anyway. Yeah, we're going to have to move up to at least a medium tractor. And we're going to go down to the cheaper tractors and see what we can get. And I say cheaper tractors, but this Valtra can get up to 200 horsepower. It's probably going to add a bunch more money. That gives us 105,000. That's actually within our price range. So we could potentially pull off this Valtra. It has a front PTO as well. So that's a possible one for us. Otherwise, I mean, we've got more expensive tractors. This base model Massey starts at 205 horsepower, which would be roughly what we need. This John Deere doesn't quite get there. This Landini could get there, but it's too expensive. All these Fendt are pretty expensive. Now these Case tractors are possible. So what do, if we go for the oh, let's just we go for the front attacher on here. And then go for the big boy motor. Basically, we can spend as much as we want on this. So if we spend $148,000, we can get that. Obviously, I'd want to go with narrow tires if we can, because we're going to be driving over top of things mowing. and fertilizing. So we want the narrow tires. Front type design. Get the extra lights. Plus a vent. Kind of like this one. Fenders, I would actually prefer not to have fenders, to be perfectly honest, but apparently I can't get rid of them. No beacons are necessary. So we're looking at $146,000 if we want to pick up this old Steyr case 7200 series, which is actually a 9270 with this engine. Now the other thing that it doesn't have, it doesn't have the Iseria Pro Compact on it, so we would have to pick that up separately. Okay, something to consider. This is the 7200 Pro Series. We go to the maximum horsepower, that gets us up to 261. Get the extra work lights, obviously. I can get rid of the fender. Nothing there. Keep that all the same. Again, this cannot get the thing, but this gets us 261 horsepower for 142,000. What do we say this one get us? This one can get us, we go front attacher. It's tempting. Okay. What else do we got? This can get up to 272 horsepower on this Versatile. But again, it's already way more expensive than what we've got. This 7200 Pro Series can get us somewhere. Let's see what we got. So this is the Pro Tuned. This gets us up to $154,000, but this would get us 300 horsepower. And it also seemingly cannot get the Iseria Pro Compact. Get rid of the fenders. Could go with a chrome stack. Honestly, I kind of like the black, to be honest. This is $154,000 for this. We can go with narrow tires, hopefully. Okay. So that gets us $155,200 for a 306 horsepower tractor. And then, of course, all these are going to be way too expensive. This Agrostar, I mean, this 200, you just can't beat this. These aggro stars are so cheap. Like, how do you beat that for the horsepower? I mean, if we wanted one of these Challengers and wanted the same horsepower, we'd have to go higher up. That takes us up to $83,000 for 225 horsepower. And it does not come with a front attacher. We put this on there. We go with Nero tires. Rear Nero twins. So that's probably the setup that we would go for. $170,000 or $107,450. That gets us 230 horsepower. That's hard to pass up for the money. I think we got to. I think we just do it. Let's go ahead and buy it. That's hard to pass up, that kind of horsepower for that price. Which means we can also get rid of this thing, which saves us a little bit of money. Because we don't really need it. And that saves enough money in the bank for a little bit extra down the road. But now we've got to take all of our new stuff over to the farm, which is going to take some getting done. But that'll allow us to actually drive around the map and show you guys some of the new map. We'll see if we can hook up to the chopper here on the front. There we go. Alright, now we'll head out to the right and we'll show you guys the lower side of the map. Really not a whole lot to see that you guys haven't seen already. Mostly just wide open fields. Try to make sure we give plenty of room for everybody. But yeah, as you guys can see, there's really not a whole lot down here in the south either. It's just a bunch of fields. I took you up into town, showed you guys the town. We will be going past, I want to say it's the animal dealer over here once we get to the next road. But we're kind of at that point on the, yeah, oh, I forgot about that. Got this nice little grain storage area. Gas station here on the right. But I'm glad we were able to pick up all of the stuff that we need to harvest potatoes and plant potatoes. We'll have to pick up the planter here in a minute. And, yeah, I mean, we're going to get this root crop adventure started one way or the other. And it's going to take a long time to do what we need to do. But I'm confident that now that we have the ability to get potatoes, that we should be able to go. What are you doing, buddy? Come on, UPS, chill out. Oh god. And they crash. Like I said, pretty sure this is the animal dealer here on the left. And then that's pretty much it until you get to our property. You can see our field right up here ahead of us, the one we've already harvested. But you can take either direction to get to our place. It's about the same about the same distance either way. But I think getting into potatoes is going to be a new experience, that's for sure. Here's our little farm over here. But I told you guys that little bit of money that we had in the bank wasn't much. It looked like it was a lot, but it really wasn't. Because our plans all along was to get the stuff to do potatoes. So, we got the stuff, and now we're broke. And I have no idea how much it's going to cost per month for our loan. And I think we did the math on the canola that we harvested. And we only got about $38,000 worth of canola off that field for the first harvest. So yeah, not ideal there. We're just gonna go ahead and park this off to the right. Block the door. I think I'm just going to reset the tractor and go back to the store to grab the last one rather than drive it. All right. Now we pick up our little potato planter. Like I said, it doesn't really matter which way we go. About the same direction, or about the same distance either way. But now that you guys have seen the entire map and you see the plan ahead of us to get into the potatoes, I really hope that you guys stick it out with me for this, because I know it's gonna be a brutal series when it comes to trying to put in the amount of time it takes to do all this stuff, because it's all such small like working widths until we get into the unrealistic stuff, which is gonna happen sooner or later. But at least until we get to that point, I want to do it legit for a little bit anyway. But I've never actually done potatoes in Farming Simulator. I've harvested one field That was on Farm Sim 22. It was potatoes from the start. But it was a very small field, and it didn't really get us any money. Definitely was not worth the effort in renting the equipment at the time. But with a bigger field, I mean, we got 15.5 acres for potatoes. Should get a pretty good harvest out of it, hopefully. I know this has been a longer episode, but I wanted to make sure that we got everything in the second episode ready to go for the planting season that's coming up. In the next episode, we'll be selling off our canola, which again, not going to get much out of that. It was a really bad yield off that field for canola. But once we sell off our canola, that'll make us a little bit of money, and then hopefully we'll be able to get through the planting and harvesting of the potatoes, and then from there, hopefully, that will be the savior of the playthrough. Otherwise, we might just fail. Failure is always an option. The old Mythbusters weren't wrong when they said that. There's always the possibility to just outright fail, but I'm hoping that we don't fail. I haven't failed yet on any playthrough that I've done, so we're just going to be taking it real close, because we've essentially got to get through an entire year from now till the end of from now until this time next year before we can start thinking about how we're going to make money. Because potatoes, they're really short growth. They, I think, plant in March, harvest in August or something like that. So it's a really short growth period, and we may end up getting a planter to start planting oilseed radish on the field during the off months, because I believe that we can actually get a subsidy given to us for each month that has the oilseed radish on it, and then when we till it under, obviously we would end up getting the bonus there. But we have $74,000 in the bank, and it seems like a lot. I'm just going to cut through here. We own this. But it seems like a lot. It's really not. It goes so quick. And I have no idea how much money we're going to be spending on our, what do you call it? Interest each month. So we'll find that out real quick when we go forward. But I think that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys are excited about the potatoes, we've got all the equipment we need to get started. We've got a new tractor that's a lot more powerful, that's going to be able to handle what we need to do. And hopefully we'll be able to remove the foliage and dig up the potatoes as we go. But we'll see. We might have to still do one and then the other. But yeah, it's going to be an adventure. But for now, I appreciate you hanging out. If you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.